Every time there's a growth in the leadership role, I think there's an identity transformation that has to happen as well. I remember, stepping from teacher into assistant principal was probably my most difficult transition mentally because I had to promote myself. I had to step into my new identity.
Big thanks to Practice Plan for allowing us to use their booth today. If you are needing revenue in quick and efficient manner, you need to reach out to Practice Plan. Easy, seamless facility rental. Thank you to John and the team for allowing us to be here. Welcome back to another episode of The Path Forward. We're here, TASA Midwinter 2025 in Austin, Texas. I've got a first-timer, a rookie on the show, but not a rookie to education. Superintendent, Rio Vista ISD, Dr. Chris Chappotin. Welcome to the show, man.
Man, thanks, Dr. Fernandez. Just excited to be here. Definitely a fan on YouTube.
I appreciate
watching all the other superintendents that you featured, so wanted to be a part of the party.
Well, first of all, you got to call me Rick because I'm doctor. That makes me feel like I need a checkup or like my liver's broke or something. So, cool. But yeah, I was so excited when you reached out because obviously we've never met before. And I'm like, I love hearing from people I've never met with the different experiences because I love to learn. So to that point, share a little bit about your career path, and because you got a little bit of an unusual pathway there.
Yeah, so in college, I started out in church work. Did that for most of my early 20s on into early 30s. Did some church planning, some worship ministry, some preaching, all of that. And so in early 30s, began a transition and needed income and had always worked with kids, did some youth ministry at the middle and high school level for sure. And so started substitute teaching at my daughter's elementary school and district, which was Burleson ISD.
Okay.
And so from there, I noticed going into Christmas break that a paraprofessional, like a tier 3 learning lab position, it was open on a Tuesday. So I took that job. Worked that Tuesday. I noticed Tuesday night it was open Wednesday, then it was open Thursday, and I'm like, something's going on here.
Yeah.
Friday morning, the Friday before Christmas break, the principal calls me in. She's wearing pajamas because it's pajama day and Santa Claus is making a visit to the school, etc. And so she hires me as a paraprofessional in that tier 3 learning lab. From there, it was people speaking leadership and potential into me, maybe when I didn't see it in myself.
Okay.
So you're a para, you would make a great teacher. So I worked on alternative certification. I teach Texas, shout out, and became a special education 4th and 5th grade collaborative teacher at the same elementary school. From there, transitioned into 5th grade math. From there, got the opportunity to open or be a part of the team that opened Steam Middle School in Burleson ISD as an assistant principal. Spent a semester at Centennial High School as an academic principal in Burleson, and then 2 years as principal, got to go back to Steam Middle School from 2018 to 2020. From there, became assistant superintendent in Boyd ISD. So going from a district of 14,000 or so at the time to Boyd ISD, which was 1,200 at the time. And so a wonderful opportunity there. I always look at it like, okay, you did some cool stuff in the classroom, great. You did some cool stuff at a campus level, great. Can you steward, lead and serve at the district level? And so got the opportunity to do that over the last 5 years. My wife was able to join the work there as well. We lived across the street from the administration building. So there were many days where we walked to work, walked to school.
Yeah.
And where we were able to invest in that community and join that community in a journey of transformation. And now the chance to join the work in Rio Vista ISD, for a lot of reasons, is a full circle home moment type for us. Because when we were in ministry, one of the places that we served was Cleburne, which is a town about 8-10 minutes north of Rio Vista. And so we had the opportunity. I mean, I ate lunch at Rio Vista High School as a youth minister, back in the early 2000s. So super great to be back in a place that feels like home for us.
I want to ask a question about, so your service in your faith, and then taking on a paraprofessional role, which I'm sure you learn now are difficult to hire for, right? And even more so special education. How did your faith shape some of the things you encountered as special education teacher, and just your ability to connect with kids and teachers, and just your passion for service, because I feel like that's a requirement for special education is you got to just have a passion and a kindness to work with kids.
Yeah, I think first of all, faith has helped lead to a willingness to take risks. So, coming right out of college and entering into ministry, we were in urban contexts for that ministry. We were
Okay.
in suburban contexts. And the risk of putting yourself out there in different contexts in order to connect with people, I think, helped grew me to the point of church planting was a risk. We started a church with 4 people at our dining room table praying that God would just do something. And from there, really approximately about a 7-year church planning journey was born. So the risk to try something new, even though I had worked with kids in the past, it had not been in a public education setting, and or some of the tier 3 learning lab, the special education, even teaching 5th grade math. Like I joked at the time, like this is probably the extent of my knowledge. So this is a good fit for me.
Like if you're gonna learn it, this is as high as we go.
I'm gonna learn it today, teach it tomorrow. No.
Yeah.
So I would say risk taking. I would say building communities. My wife and I have been able to engage in this work, whether it was church or public education, like together. Even in Burleson, larger district where we weren't at the same campus, we were still in the district together, engaging in the work together. So building communities, and then as a part of that, our family takes an all-in approach. So again, whether it was ministry, whether it was Burleson, whether it was Boyd, now Rio Vista, this is a family, not just project, but way of life where we're diving in. I've been in Rio Vista, I think it's like 27 calendar days on the job, if you will. My kids, or our kids, we've got 3 in the home still. They started school last Tuesday. My 9th grader will be in a powerlifting meet on Saturday. So there's an all-in approach, when we believe the Lord leads us into something.
So I want to dive into that a little bit, because that is one of the challenges of assuming the role of a superintendent, because you know you're going to be moving at some point, right? So it's like a head football coach, head coach somewhere, and the balance between opportunity and having your family be okay and feel great about it and go into a new situation optimistically, right? That's a challenge, particularly when you're taking on jobs that you don't know the context, you're still unsure of how things are going to work. How did you build kind of the all-in philosophy with your family kind of from a young age? Does that make sense? I'm very fascinated with that, because that's always hard to do.
I'll go back to the church work in particular. When we were church planting, we were in a mobile location, and every week we were loading and unloading a trailer to do a portable setup. My 5-year-old daughter, who is now 24,
Okay.
was right alongside with me. So she would go with me to the storage unit. She would, we would load up the trailer, we would unload the trailer, like all of those things. She was right alongside. I remember we took a mission trip to New Orleans not long after Katrina. She was, I believe, in 1st grade at the time, but again, right along with me. And so as, we have 5 children total, 3 that are still in the home right now. So as each child kind of came into their own, my wife and I tried to model a come alongside approach where they saw us investing and serving and growing with people and alongside people. And I'm hopeful that they would say they benefited from being a part of that, and they see work, ministry, life in the same dynamic.
It's almost, hearing you explain it, it's almost like you created a gym rat for service, because your coaches, your kids are always with you because they got to be. You got to be at practice. They're ingrained in it. You created that on the faith and service side. So I think that's number one. I commend you for that. Number two, I love that approach, because it's about serving other people. That's what we do every single day as educators. It's how do we help other people achieve their goals.
If my adult age children describe it like that someday, that would be really humbling and honoring.
No, sir.
That's all I could hope for.
Absolutely. And that's a powerful message. And I think that that's one, when you have the opportunity to pour into others that in the leadership role, something to share, because it's a challenge leaders face when getting their families on board and making sure their families are comfortable with any of the transitions that it seems like continuously happen, particularly in the role of superintendent. So 27 days. Give me your first like big wow moment. Doesn't have to be negative, doesn't have to be positive, but just like when you realize, oh man, I'm in the seat now.
I think when transitioning into a new to me district,
Sure.
I don't know that you can be proactive enough in introducing yourself to the community.
Yeah.
And I think something I learned very quickly was that really, perhaps as soon as the morning after being named lone finalist, maybe whether it's putting out a video or putting out something, a message of some sort, just with an introduction. Obviously, the district did that, but looking back, I think it would have been, it would have enhanced that if I would have done it myself. Had I'd say 2 or 3 pretty challenging, situations to work through in the first couple of weeks. And so I think, if I ever have the opportunity to speak to aspiring soups someday, I think that's a message I would give, is just go ahead and proactively introduce yourself. You're getting the opportunity to make that first touch point, and you're reaching out to do that, which not only can it pay dividends, but I think it also shows some transparency, some openness, some honesty, and setting things off on the right foot.
Absolutely. I mean, and it shows your new community that you're intending to serve, that you're going to work to meet them, right? You're going to do the work to make sure they know who you are. They don't have to come to you. You're going to go to them. Mm-hmm. And that's in my opinion, a show of respect and deference. Like, I understand I'm the new guy, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to do my best to make sure you know who I am, what I'm about, and what I'm going to do for our kids in our community. What was your reaction when you got the call? Take me through like the.
Oh yeah. So.
Where were you when you got the call?
I was driving down the street because I had waited at the house. Because you can follow the timeline of the board agendas, and so I'd kind of waited at the house, and I had told my wife I'm gonna go for a drive just to loosen up a little bit, and I got to the end of our street and I got the call, and it was awesome.
And what was your? How did you shout? Did you say, "Oh, thank you, I appreciate that," and hold it in? Like
I think I was kind of, I guess, calm, and held it in a little bit, but yeah, after hanging up that phone call, it was like, it's on, let's go.
That's way better than mine. Mine was like, shut up, I did. I was like, yeah, and then I was like, oh, probably shouldn't have said that, but they understood, because you just overwhelmed and thankful, right? I mean,
with it being a community that we were able to serve 20 something years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's like returning home for us. My wife's hometown is not far from there. It's an area that we're familiar with, and so from that standpoint, we were super excited. Continue to be super excited because it's just a great fit, a great place to be.
Talk about some of the leaders along the way that kind of have poured into you, shaped how you work with your families, your community. Who's been instrumental in your success?
Yeah, I would say my very first principal, because she hired me for that paraprofessional position, kind of took a chance on me. I was a dad of a kid at her school. I had no formal background in public education, and she took a chance on me, put me in that role, and then continued to speak life as I grew under her leadership. So you're going to make a great teacher someday. You're going to make a great principal someday. Then when she transitioned to her next role and a new principal came in, it was like my first leadership transition, so I'm like, oh my gosh, how's this going to go? And I'm all concerned. And the new person really just picked up where she left off. And so the new person showed me in the data, like, you're having this kind of impact based on the numbers. Like, I guess you could say I knew qualitatively from the person that hired me, and then I knew quantitatively from the next person. So another thing that she did, teaching 5th grade math at the time, I was trying to keep it fun for kids. So I have a little bit of a musical background. My mom is really a phenomenal musician, but I would write little jingles, write little songs in class.
Whoa.
little
You're
raps.
gonna throw that out there and not give us some kind of sample. You got to do something. Come on, man.
Okay, so let me build a little
Okay,
bit.
okay.
So little raps. My 24-year-old to this day, she will remember learning multiplication tables by doing raps
Yeah.
to skip counting, etc. So fast forward, the second principal that I'm talking about, she becomes chief communications,
Okay.
and she says, "Hey, we're trying to do some stuff at the district level like you used to do in the classroom. Basically, would you be interested in taking New York State of Mind, Jay-Z, Alicia Keys,
Mm-hmm.
and writing a rap for Burleson State of Mind? And we're going to get somebody to sing the hook." And that became the district promotional video in, I want to say that was like 2016 or so, which then became a series of, there was Burleson State of Mind. We redid a Bruno Mars song, That's What I Like. And then we did Old Town Road. And the district did a great job of putting like a music video piece together, coupled with the music. And that was pre-ChatGPT, so I'm writing that stuff for real. That is not AI generated. And so anyway, convocations were fun. So that principal growing into her chief role really spoke leadership into me, and I got to express it, musically. But then, well, you make a good AP. Well, why don't you give principal a shot? And then the principal that hired me became superintendent, and that became kind of an opportunity to continue the progression. So just folks who spoke developing leadership into me, but then also kind of let me be me in the process.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk about this a lot, I don't think, but every time there's a growth in the leadership role, I think there's an identity transformation that has to happen as well.
Okay.
Sometimes we describe it maybe as promoting yourself, but I remember, stepping from teacher into assistant principal was probably my most difficult transition mentally, because I had to promote myself. I had to step into my new identity. I thought I was a fun teacher, scores, had good evidence there, but also created a fun learning environment for kids through some of these songs and whatnot. But now I'm the assistant principal, so I'm supposed to be this compliance
Right.
boss kind of
Yeah.
guy. Can I still wear Jordan 1s, enjoy, writing raps, and be a campus administrator or a district administrator? So I had my first principal who hired me as an AP. He really taught me, I think, along the way that I can grow into the identity necessary to live out the functions of the job that are necessary, but I can also be myself in the process. And actually, if I'm authentically myself, I'm able to forge deeper and more effective relationships with people to move work forward for kids, which is the ultimate goal.
I mean, I think you're spot on with that, and some of the advice I give to new leaders or what have you is when you go for that interview, and particularly if you're having to move or stakes are high, you don't want to go get a job based on something you believe they wanted to hear, right? Because you are the leader that you are because of who you are and how you do things and your approach, whatever that is. And as soon as you sell them a bill of goods of who you aren't, but what you think they want to hear, now all of a sudden when you get on the job and you can't hide who you are. You are going to be however you are, that's you, right? And so be who you are and really make sure a board or whomever knows that and lead that way. And then you don't have, where you're trying to walk on eggshells. Like if they love it and they're interested, then you'll get the job. And if you're not the right fit, then that's probably what's best as well. Because I know people want to get the job, but it is so important that you get the job where you can be you and lead like you believe is best for the district. So I think you're spot on. I think that was great advice from some of your team and your administrators, because it is we all think we have to be now proper and know everything, and I gotta know all the answers and fix everything. And the reality is, we're all just struggling too, trying to figure it out. And the more of you that's out there, the more people respect, and whether they disagree or they agree, at least they know you're authentic.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's a huge piece of it. So how does, I would imagine, and I don't know you well, but as you move up the chain, you're feeling good, right? Things are moving. How does the missus keep you grounded at the house?
Oh man!
Now you're the superintendent now. So, but I would guess that at the house, who keeps you grounded?
Yeah, my wife, my kids. I'm husband, I'm dad.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting bruh, just like everybody.
Just like that's when I get at the house.
My 7th grader is like, hey, can you extend my downtime on my iPhone? And I'm like, no. And I get a bruh, come on.
Thank God. I thought I was the only one, man.
All of that. Just prioritizing that time.
Sure.
And trying to be good for them, so that I can be good for others. But it, definitely for us it works. I've got other friends that are like, I could never, work in the same district or kind of do life the way that we try to. It works for us because we don't know any different, and that's how we've been, going back to being early married. So that keeps me grounded. I think having adult kids keeps me grounded.
Are they off the payroll? Okay, that's enough.
1.5.
Okay.
So it's a different stage of life for us because we've got adult children and I still got one in elementary school.
Okay.
So in some ways we're trying to be two types of parents at the same time, and so I think those challenges keep us pressing into prayer and keep us dependent on each other to navigate the challenges and celebrate the successes.
That's awesome. So now that you're sitting in the seat, and now along the way, as you're moving through, sometimes you don't realize that people are now looking up to you because you've had some success, right? And as you grow and you excel, how do you pour into others? Because you've had people pour into you. Do you look for opportunities, or what's your methodology, Rio Vista or otherwise? Like, I want to pour into others to make sure that they're successful and give them the chance, the same opportunities I have.
I think it's a mix of the organized and the organic. So there are systems that I had in place in Boyd that were probably what people would find to be, more traditional or established strategic planning type systems, right? Like, we all know enough about 4 disciplines of execution to be dangerous.
Yeah.
And so there were some of those organized ways of developing leaders and developing myself in the process. And then there's those organic times where just this last week, I took time to talk with some folks individually and in small group to explain to them how I was learning about them, and also to describe some about how I lead and how I think and how I function, like outside of the game, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
There's a time when we're playing the game and the game's going and we're trying to execute plays and we're trying to play good defense and all that kind of stuff. But then there's the time where we're in film session almost, and I'm able to replay some of the situations or some of the conversations in an organic way to say, I mentioned this because I was thinking this, or this gives you insight into how I approach this particular situation.
Okay.
Just trying to do a mix of organized and organic as folks are learning me and I'm learning them.
I love the analogy of game versus film. Different context, different urgency, but I love that analogy. What would you say is the one place where you're like, I really want to strengthen this, or I feel like I've got some gaps here that I really want to learn how to do this better, or access this a little bit better?
District leadership from the superintendent chair, right?
Yes.
Like, I try to be very clear and transparent with folks in my district, that I have not done this before.
Mm-hmm.
So we are all learning together. So, I've had folks say to me, hey, I'm not so sure about this. I'm figuring this out, or we're learning this, or whatever it is. And I always try to respond, yeah, me too. We're learning together.
Yeah.
So whether it's obviously opportunities like Midwinter, I just came from a great lunch with a mix of experienced superintendents
Nice.
and superintendents new in their role. Talking with I've got a couple superintendents in my county that I worked with in Burleson. So it's phenomenal to have them nearby. I've spent a little bit of time in a large district, a little bit of time in a smaller district. So I can really connect with both networks, if you will, and grow from those folks too. So just trying to keep the posture of a learner and a servant, and not being afraid to say, even from my seat, I may not know, but I have a network to pull from. I have a team, that I'm investing in, and together we'll figure this thing out, and we're going to have some fun along the way.
What are you most proud of in your career of service?
Right now, that we've been able to engage in that life as a family, and that our 24-year-old is a teacher. I'm not saying success is measured by how many of my 5 children become educators in public school or per se, but what I am saying is the journey that she's been through, and to see her now pouring into other kids, to see my 18-year-old who has just started his first adult job be excited about the new learning that he's doing, and the way in which he's being mentored into that job and into the role he plays in his company, and already thinking about how to pay that forward. Again, it doesn't have to be the sphere of public education,
Right.
but any time, whether it's my personal children or any of the adults or children we've been able to influence along the way, are stepping into opportunities to pay that forward is just exciting to be a part of, because I wouldn't be sitting here with you if a number of people hadn't done that for me.
I love it, man. That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, to take us home, you got to break out at least a jingle or a rap or something to get us out of here. We'll wait. We'll just tell Dr. Hill from Channel View he's going to have to wait till you get
all right. So
I want you to sing it. I don't want you to describe it. I want something.
Last Friday night, so my new, Rio Vista, I've gone to my 3rd basketball game. All right. One of the things we did in Boyd was during timeouts, the gym was quiet. And I don't need to hear the coach instructing the kids in a timeout, and the coach doesn't want me to hear. So we started playing music during timeouts. We started trying to announce during the game. We did some national anthem before the game. So last Friday night in Rio was my first time to do all of that there. So it might be a little weird, but it's fresh on my mind since we just did it Friday night. So y'all don't have to stop and hand over the heart or anything. But let's just drop some national anthem. How about that?
You do what you want to do.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? So we did some of that last Friday night. It was a lot of fun. But if you want some more, so I don't remember the lyrics to the Tennessee Whiskey remake for the weather, but that is on my Facebook page. And then the rap stuff for Burleson, I think they still have a few of those videos on YouTube.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I love the way you lean into your talents to celebrate your kids and your district and service, man.
Hey, man, the work's hard enough, so let's have a lot of fun while we do it.
There is no doubt about that, and we can agree. We need a little bit more fun in education with everything that's going on. So,
absolutely,
man, I am so glad we connected, and so glad you reached out. And if you're okay with it, man, I'd like to have you as a regular fixture on the show, man, just to
That'd be
talk.
amazing.
And obviously, you're just starting that journey. So the next time I see you, there'll be some more some more experiences to discuss.
Yes, sir.
And maybe get another one, the kids off the payroll by then, and you start,
Working on it.
So, man, Chris, thank you so much for joining me. I had a blast,
man.
and looking forward to next time, and looking forward to hearing great things from Rio Vista ISD.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank
If you like what you heard, or you need to get a contract to Chris, please like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time on The Path Forward.